The Aurora Life channel was created largely because of a couple of encounters that we had with some guardians of ours. We call them guardians because they appeared from out of the blue, and it was quite fascinating to see our own personal growth, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to dedicate this channel to personal growth, personal mastery, amongst other things. So as part of our backstory, we go back about 10 years to the time when my dad was diagnosed with diabetes. He suffered from massive shrinkage of his entire body. Basically, his muscles were eaten away. His blood glucose level was elevated at 27 when it was measured. Who knows what it was when it wasn't measured. And that got him into a vicious spiral of trying to find solutions from medication, and he realized that medication wasn't working for him because that was just going to cause him to spiral even further. He ended up seeking advice from people like John Barron, took some of the supplements, began to research on supplements, and it got him into this huge flurry. And Dad subsequently was, personally I feel he was a victim of quite a number of unjust events that happened to him, and that's probably one of the reasons why he was, to a great extent, emotionally not well. And that included the death of his eldest brother when his brother was barely 55, and the very sudden death of his second brother, whom he found had passed away in his own home, in his own toilet, because he had fallen and died. And the police called him in because they discovered a smell, which was reported by the neighbors. That was a traumatic moment for him, and actually that was the onset of the next stage of cancer for him. So during that period of time, it was stage 3. There was a lot of anger, there was a lot of blame, and as a result, there was no real solution to anything. I mean, usually, nobody comes up to you and says, hey, there's a solution to cancer. So he went on studying about chemotherapy because he was forced to enter chemotherapy once the cancer entered stage 4, and he had to find ways to balance himself out. And sure enough, over 5 years of battling cancer, he eventually passed away. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to be with him those 5 years, but there was this empty feeling. I was not able to reconcile it until the entry of this stray who was picked up by a community of cat breeders, and Eleanor decided to foster Flower. Her name was Flower, of course, and Flower was this aging cat. She didn't seem to be too old. She seemed quite cuddly, very furry, and initially she took to us almost like some distant human that randomly passes her by if she's a stray on the street. But we had to take care of her because of an interesting parallel, which was she was suffering from cancer, and she had just gone for an operation which led her to need fostering. No one would have had the means to take care of a cat like that, and as a result we decided, okay, let's take her in. So she recovered relatively quickly. We took care of her, dressed her wounds, and it kind of reminded me of Dad. And that's one of the reasons why it was sort of like a strange parallel. And the cat, though, wasn't like an angry, upset or emotionally disturbed human being. It actually behaved, like all animals do. They go on with life. They take life as it is, living in the present. And Flower was one of those who, in spite of her pain, she would I still remember a day where my brother and my mom came to visit, and Dad had already passed on. And in spite of her advanced stages of cancer, because it recurred, and sent her for another operation, and she came back with good recovery, but eventually we realized that the cancer had spread throughout the rest of her body, around her neck, around her ears, and so on. So I still remember the moment where Flower came up to greet my brother and my mom, in spite of the fact that she must have been in immense pain. And she was not demanding at all. So Flower had impacted us in a very different way because of in a sense, the model that she demonstrated, which was no complaints, accept who you are, live life in the present, live life fully. And due to the cancer, on the day she passed, we were both with her, and I remember that emotional connection that took place, which was what I thought should have happened with my father, but didn't happen. So I look at Flower like a second chance of mourning the grief of and grieving for my dad. And after Flower left, we had a moment of quiet. You know, it helped us in our relationship. It helped us to grow in terms of seeking answers, not just from the inside and attempting to find answers that were not there, but really looking at role models. It's funny to see a cat as a role model, but indeed, I think very few human beings would have responded, given her advanced condition and cancer, the way she did. So through that example, we curated very good positive memories of this beautiful cat. And she was well loved by people who knew her or came to visit her. And I still remember that she would enjoy moments, belly rubs and pets. And she's always an amazing reminder of what life could be. For 4 short months we had her, but that actually felt like a lifetime. So fast forward through our own period of personal reflection and our time alone together to review how this cat had impacted us. Something else came along, and we decided to head down to the SPCA, the Society for Prevention of Cruelty of Animals, rather. And we were thinking of just taking a look around, and there was a small ginger cat with a beautifully pink nose that stood out to us. She was very receptive. She had literally Puss in Boots eyes. You know, the kind when you look into, you have no choice but to give him all your money. But this was her. At that point of time, we took a look at her name. Her name was Lucia. And she responded very positively, wasn't very aggressive, even though the caretakers thought that she was a little bit in a hissy fit, kind of. But we felt a certain connection with her, and this ginger cat turned out to be a very amazing addition to the family as well. We decided to rename her Aurora because of a couple of things. Aurora being the name of the goddess of the dawn, which kind of symbolizes the start of a new era for us, as well as for her. And looking down, actually we wanted it was funny because we wanted to name our cat Money or something like that, so that we can say, hey, come Money, come. So that you have a feeling like you're affirming your sense of attracting wealth. But I decided to look a little bit more symbolically, and the symbol AU is the chemical symbol for gold. And of course, Aurora starts with the first 2 letters, AU, which means gold. So in a sense, this is a golden dawning of a new era. It also kind of reminds you of her nice golden orange coat and her sweet little antics of rubbing up against you and then running away. She's got a very interesting characteristic because she's so playful and at the same time cautiously so. And yet once she gets to know you, she wants you to chase her around. She wants to be chased. She wants to chase her toys, things like that. I suppose it's a nice indication of how sometimes we are. People misunderstand that running away is avoidance when in reality that might actually be a symbol of wanting to play. That chasing after things is what our default mechanism is. But sometimes, just as Aurora does, she's tired. She needs someone to accompany her, but she also finds rest. She knows when to rest. And I think this entire channel dedicated to well-being, self-care, personal mastery, personal excellence can be found through the lens of watching a cat and her behaviors. So if you have a cat out there who's ill, who's aggressive. Sometimes it's necessary for us to take a look from a slightly different lens and go, perhaps this is a way to reflect about me, about my realities, about my way of living. Am I angry? Can I take that attribution and take ownership of that so that I can become a better person? And it doesn't matter whether you're creating the anger in the cat or whether the cat just happens to have been angry and rescued it. I think what's more important, and it's not just about cats, I think what's more important is to take a look at any animal, any situation, any human being, any plant, any living insect, flower, doesn't matter. What you want to do is to look at life as a blossoming example of how you can be. They're the most natural of phenomena that are out there. The blossoming of a flower, the growing of a plant, the waterfalls, the meandering of the rivers, a volcanic eruption. All of these do symbolize something, a certain nature in human behavior. And I think it's fascinating to see how a simple act of reflection can yield so much wisdom as long as we take the time to appreciate nature and the gifts that she has given to us. So, welcome to the Aurora Life channel. It is a new dawn. It's a new dawn to a new life. I most certainly hope that you enjoy it.